A warm welcome to Estoril in Portugal for the penultimate round of the Eurocup Formula Renault 2 litre. Champion already decided, of course, in the way of Lando Norris, and he suitably has netted pole position for this penultimate race of the season. But there's still second place to fight for. Dorian Boccolacci comes to Estoril on 176 points. Max Deforny trailing on 163.5, and Boccolacci took second place in the championship last time out at Spa in Belgium. We were racing a month ago with Lando Norris, as I say, confirming the championship for 2016. That's now back-to-back championships for the young Bristolian, having won the MSA Formula Championship in the UK in 2015. My name's Johnny Palmer, joined by John Hindhoff, and John's first opportunity to see these cars as part of this championship. It's a 25-minute plus a lap race. We have two of these across the weekend, one today and one tomorrow, and they have often resulted in some thoroughly entertaining racing. A standout event was for me at Red Bull Ring, where we had Lando Norris and Max Deforny exchanging places about 3 or 4 times on the same lap, and every lap. So hopefully racing shouldn't be affected by a relatively greasy track. We've just had a session, John, for the European Le Mans Series cars, and that was intermediates.
And everybody bringing out a selection of tyres here. This is a nightmare for team managers and tyre engineers. If you're at the back, you could take a chance. You might put a set of slicks on this and hope that it's going to dry out enough. But I think you've got to start here with something that's got a groove in it. Final round of the Renault Sport season for Formula Renault and the RS01. Indeed, the last outing for the RS01 sports cars. We're on the Atlantic coast of Portugal, about 5 kilometres from the seafront here in Estoril. Cascais just down the coast. Literally a 5-minute drive up from there.
And this circuit broke ground in 1972. 13 turns, 2.5 miles, 4.1 kilometres. Lando Norris will start from pole position, so let's hear from the young man now with Julian.
Jean-Pascal, another thrilling season of Eurocup action coming to an end here in Estoril. What's your take on the 2016 campaign?
Yeah, it has been a great season. We are already in Estoril at the last round. The champion is already known, Lando Norris, which is in pole position, so he has no pressure, but he will be fighting, of course. And behind him, the other position will be between Max Deforny, Harrison Scott, and Dorian Boccolacci. So there's a real gamble for this weekend here in Estoril.
What can we expect for 2017 in Eurocup Formula Renault 2 liters?
So 2017 we have a new calendar. We will be having 10 rounds, including 8 F1 tracks. We will be in Monaco, we will be in Pau, which is another street city race. So we have a great calendar. That's something which is really appreciated by our team. The other thing is the car, no chance. The car is reliable, everybody is happy. And the last thing will be the teams. We have already 13 teams which have shown interest to this championship. So 2017 should be a real exciting season.
Thank you very much, Jean-Pascal. We'll let you enjoy the race.
Jean-Pascal Dos, the man at the head of Renault Sport. Renault here in force this weekend. It's not cold here, just shy of 20 degrees Celsius, and the track warming up all of the time. We had overnight heavy rain and rain this morning through some of the sessions, which made things really difficult. Can't wait to see the cars on the track and see who's gone for slicks, because 25, they all have. So the first few laps here are going to be really interesting.
Yes, as mentioned in that interview, this is Lando Norris, by the way, starting from pole position, and late discussion with the team, probably about tyres, but the calendar for 2017 has been announced. So Monza is the first round, then to Silverstone, both supporting the Blancpain GT Series, the Endurance Cup. Pau Grand Prix, classic Formula 3 venue around the streets of France, and then again the Monaco Grand Prix, just a standalone event there, to Hungary for a couple of races at the Hungaro Ring, supporting the World Endurance Championship at the Nürburgring, and then back to the ELMS programme for Red Bull Ring, for Paul Ricard, and to Spa, and they end the season at Barcelona in October. But the great thing about having Renaults as part of the European Le Mans Series bill, Renault support means that as a spectator it's free to get into these events. You have to pay €10 to get into the paddock, but stick to the grandstands. The programs are free. You don't pay a dime, which I think, you know, you're trying to get people interested in motorsport. You may have, as I've been on many occasions, someone, a big fan of motorsport, but wanting to get other friends involved. You tell them you don't have to pay to get in this weekend, and it's instantly, I would say, doubles or trebles your crowd. Sasha Fenestraz there, one of the Tech 1 racing cars, and Tech 1 having a fabulous result at Spa. They have 4 cars here this weekend, and 3 of them managed to get into the top 4 last time out in Belgium. But it's Josef Kaufmann Racing, who run Lando Norris, who've taken pole position, an all-British front row, in fact, because Will Palmer, son of Jonathan, brother of Jolyon, will start from 2nd position.
One of 5 Fortec cars that we're looking at there on the grid. A lot of people still tarrying by their cars. They're going to have to make their final adjustments and stop working on those cars, or we're going to get some penalties there, Johnny. It is slicks though, isn't it, for everybody? I think what they've been doing is just winding the suspension there to some sort of halfway house between wet and dry settings. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because the track, you've got to hope the track's going to dry out.
Yeah.
It looks good. It's an abrasive surface here. A lot of long, high-speed corners. The parabolic interior and the exterior, the parabolic at the centre, the final set of corners. It's listed as 1 corners, but effectively a 2.5, maybe 3 pressure corner. Another one of the JD Motorsports cars there. A couple of those in as well. It is a... There are sort of a couple or 3 super teams, aren't there? Tech 1, Fortec. Race Art GP Junior team, they've got 4 cars in as well. Josef Kaufmann Racing with 3 cars.
Yeah, Josef has been prepping Formula 3 and Formula Renault cars for many, many years. Even now, though, it looks like late adjustment to damper settings.
Yeah, suspension, exactly so, Johnny.
That's the reason why the top of the nose had been removed from that car, and a few others as well, up and down the pit, up and down the grid straight.
They're deciding how dry it's going to get by the end.
Yes.
You want a good car at the end to be able to make the tyres work, of course.
This is the only category that will have standing starts across the weekend. And of course, you need plenty of grip as you launch the car from the line as well. So it is going to be, as you say, a very tricky first handful of laps, as some of that rainwater is burnt off and also worn off by the passing cars. 3-minute ball's just been shown, by the way.
It looks dry-ish, but it's very greasy on the top. And all of the rubber that's been put down over the last couple of days was washed away last night before we had the torrential rain of this morning. And I'm going to say the first few laps are going to be tricky. Very tricky indeed.
Got the change in track surface down to turn 1 though as well, and where the asphalt is sealed next to the next piece, that section there can become very, very greasy as well if you catch that at the wrong point. That's sealed down the right-hand side of the shot as well. And the drivers will be aware of that, almost treating it like a 3-lane road down towards there it is, the 2 changes of surface almost to drivers' right.
White lines, curbs, the latter part of the lap where you're going uphill through turn 9 into turn 10, through the hook. It's an uphill, almost a hairpin, you almost come to a dead stop, and then trying to get the power on up the hill is going to be very difficult on those slicks. And it's going to be a waiting game. You are not going to win this race in the first 2 or 3 laps. And somebody who, at the moment, is down on the grid, mid-pack or even further back, biding their time, getting the best out of their tyres, holding on for the last few laps of the 25 minutes plus 1 lap, they could well be in with a decent shot here later on.
And remember, most of these drivers still very, very young. It's not a junior category, but it's almost the next step up. Lando Norris, now the champion for 2016, just 16 years old. 1-minute board being shown, as you can see, and drivers being asked to get their engines started. 1 member of the team remains on the grid then to make sure that the engine does fire into life.
Lando Norris being touted as another one of the next big things, isn't he?
And in his first year of Eurocup Formula Renault as well, so labelled as a rookie. We also have a separate rookie podium presentation at the end of each race, and invariably he's on the top of both of those podia.
Green flag lap to come. That will not be the start of the race, remember. They'll come around. Notice the people who are sitting back in their grid, like the blue car, the left of our picture, sitting back in their grid box. He's going to light up the rear tyres and try and dry up as much of that box as he can. There's another one there, the number 2, the Josef Kaufmann Racing car of Lando Norris. He's going to do exactly the same, light up those rear slicks, try and get a bit of rubber onto the pit box, and also try and dry things off. Yeah, trying to feel for the grip as well. Now don't throw it off on the formation lap, chaps.
For goodness sake, yes. But this is a chance, a first chance to assess the track then and how it's changed from qualifying. It's definitely drying. The drier weather, if not full sunshine, was predicted, but the race control message is that this will be a wet track.
And that is because that allows the teams, Johnny, to make their choice of tyres. So it means you can put wet tyres on should you desire, or intermediates if they're available to you. Also means the red rain light should be on the back of the cars.
So here's confirmation of the grid. Lando Norris doing a 1:46.736, and the time in the end 1.3 seconds quicker than Will Palmer for Arc Ace GP. Sasha Fenestraz and James Allen will start the second row ahead of Alexander Vartanyan, new to the championship, and Marcus Armstrong likewise. Dorian Boccolacci second in the championship, starts 7th alongside Nikita Troitsky, young Russian driver. Alexei Korneev, compatriot of Troitsky, alongside Bruno Baptista. Max de Forney, who was second in the championship just a couple of rounds ago, starts 11th. So a tough session from him. Young Swiss driver Hugo de Sadalier starting 13th alongside Alexander James Peroni. We have Your Highness Ferdinand Habsburg.
His Highness.
His Highness, yes. And Julian Falquero 16th ahead of Harrison Scott and Gislan Cordial. Again, another wildcard entry. Gabriel Aubry from France and Tech One Racing starts 19th alongside Indian driver Jahan Daruvala. Henrique Chavs, the homeboy, starts from 21st position to match the car number, and it's Frankie Bird, who's had a lot of experience in the British F4 Championship this year. That season is now over, so he has an opportunity to race in Europe for Fortec Motorsport, and the 49 car will start at the back of the grid. So cars working their way now through Gancho corner,
and that's going to be a problem area in the first few laps. You can see it's still damp offline as well, Johnny. The extremely efficient intermediates that we had during qualifying for the prototypes LMP3 and LMP2 cars of the ELMS session have, along with those downforce cars, dried some of the track. Temperatures warming up, there is a drying line, but there's going to be slippery patches, and you are going to have to be so careful going offline to pass here.
So Lando Norris and Will Palmer trying to get the last bit of heat available to them into those tyres and into the brakes as well. As soon as they come to a halt on the front row and wait for everybody else to get into position, all that heat starts to dissipate. So they hope that they've managed to keep the long line of cars relatively compact behind them. And Lando Norris heading to the left-hand side of the track. Will Palmer slots in behind in this 1x1 staggered grid. Third position for Sasha Fenestraz, the best placed Tech 1 car. Nice crowd in the grandstand, the drivers left there, about to witness the start of this first Eurocup Formula Renault 2-litre race of the weekend. Another one to come tomorrow, of course, but it'll be 25 minutes plus a lap for the penultimate round of the year. And we're certainly interested in how some of these wildcard entered drivers get on. Some of them doing this round as a one-off, but how can Lando Norris get away? He already has the championship in his pocket, so he can enter this race with the pressure off. And now we'll get to see exactly what Lando is capable of. Starts to the right, and yes, Will Palmer pointing to drivers left there as they see the red lights go out now. Is it a good start for Lando Norris? It is indeed. He's got away terrifically well there. Fellow Brit Will Palmer slotting in behind, and the fight is on for third position with the 47 car getting ahead there of Sasha Fenestraz. So new man to the championship, James Allen, Marcus Armstrong rather, from the third row, getting up to third position there for Race GP.
Yeah, that was a great start. Oh, there's a touch, and that is what you don't need early on, running over the back of the car ahead of you in the gravel, and that car's not coming out. Side by side racing ahead of them as well. Great start though from the pole man, Lando Norris. Just let the car roll down the hill, barely any wheel spin at all. Hasn't got a huge lead, but it's enough.
That, I think, was James Allen in the gravel, and he was the car that I was confusing for Marcus Armstrong, who is a Kiwi, and James Allen, the Aussie, started from 4th position, and it is the Australian's car number 18 in the gravel. I'm sad to say, one of his best qualifying performances to put the car 4th on the grid. The two Tech 1 cars side by side, that's Sasha Fenestraz and Dorian Boccolacci, who's had an amazing start from 7th position.
Safety car, Johnny.
Yeah, safety car is out, but it's Fenestraz leading Dorian Boccolacci. So Boccolacci up to 5th place from 7th. And
the Satch tractor.
Yeah, already on scene, so good work there. And James Allen, well, I need to see the incident again to see how all that kicked off, but I don't think he got off the line terrifically well. And one thing led to another. Big contact in the mid-pack.
Right, watch it. Well, I thought he'd run over someone's wheel, but I think the airborne moment was caused by the curb.
Yeah. I think you're probably right. Let's have a look further back around the corner.
Here
so there is James Allen's car. It's sideways, and there was no contact there at all, was there?
No, he was alongside another car,
yes,
but he'd already lost it at that stage. And trick of perspective there, I thought he'd run over the back of the left rear wheel of the car that he was alongside. Take that back. Just, I'm afraid, the inertial moment of rotation was too much for the rear tyres. James was already in a slide as he came to the corner.
Real disaster for James, though. As I say, one of his best qualifying performances of the year, to stick it in on the second row alongside Sasha Fenestraz, and it's lasted a corner or two. So he will have the long walk back to the paddock to think about how he's approached that first lap. But that's just an indication of how quickly things can just turn on you when you've got a greasy track like this.
He did get across the track, I noticed, so he has got the opportunity of being able to get back. Just take another look at the start here, Johnny.
Yeah, so great start for Lando Norris to your right. There is James Allen, who ducks out of line, but is losing places, is he? No, doing okay down to there. Marcus Armstrong has come from 6th position for RHGP. So James Allen losing places now into turn 1 as everyone swoops around the outside, and I'm not sure whether he struggled for traction there on the inside of curve 1, and then we head for curve 2 and the car just gets sideways on him, leaps up in the air as it clatters the earth just on the outside of the bend and into the gravel. Sadly, James Allen not going to get his JD Motorsport car out of there without the aid of one of those rather smart 4x4 machines. So
it'll be a short yellow though, because it's already gone, isn't it? So we're only going to lose a lap or two in a rather rueful James Allen of JD Motorsport, looking on from the side of the track. He's unplugged his radio, walks away. He's fine, of course. Actually, doesn't look to be that much damage to the car, if I'm honest.
No, I think if it was on the black stuff, he may well have been able to continue, although the under tray will have been slightly concerning him as to how much damage was done, because these cars are so reliant on their downforce.
I was wrong. He walked to the outside and he's gone with his car, so he just wanted to make sure it was fine. Safety car will be in at the end of this lap, Johnny, so we now get the excitement, having had the excitement of a standing start.
Yes.
We now get the excitement of a rolling start.
And I'm keen to see how Marcus Armstrong gets on, up to 4th position, 3rd position in fact, now ahead of Sasha Fenestraz, the young 16-year-old from Christchurch in New Zealand. 3rd in your shot, and a bit of an unknown entity ahead of the two Tech 1 cars. Safety car peels off into pit lane then, holding back, and then hammers the throttle does Lando Norris. Will Palmer in 2nd position, and then it's Marcus Armstrong in 3rd ahead of the Fenestraz and Boccolacci Tech 1 cars. Over the line then goes Lando Norris, and they're already overlapping further back as some of the SMP racing cars there trying to gain places.
Yeah, good restart again by Lando Norris. Did a very good job of backing everybody up, letting the safety car get far enough ahead that when he... Oh, and a spin! Now, is that the 21? It is the 21 car.
Henrik Schavs at his home race.
Oh, what a shame.
In the bright orange of Andreas Wyss Racing. And Adrian Wyss is here this weekend looking after a couple of cars, but that's a real frustration. And Jahan Daruva off in the background there together with another car as well. So cars falling off left, right and centre here. That was the 16 car of Julian Falqueiro rotating, so not Marcus Armstrong, despite the cars being in a very similar livery. Armstrong with his hands full here with Sasha Fenestraz, who's seesawing at the wheel, trying to get the car around the interior parabolica. Couldn't quite make that work, but did get fully alongside the Kiwi.
First two pulling away because of this battle for 3rd position, and Norris, just to finish my thought, from the pole position and then on the restart from the lead, Johnny, I thought did a smashing job there. Let the safety car get far enough away that when he did get his foot down, that he didn't get into a point of overlapping. And there's a spin at the hook at turn number 9. It's the 11 car.
That's Fenestras. So not Boccolacci, who's trying to get second position in the championship, remember, but it's so easy to get these cars pointing in the wrong direction. They weigh next to nothing, but they're powered by an incredibly, in relevant speed, 2-litre engine, massively powerful in these cars. But because they're so reliant on their downforce and the aerodynamic grip, they're going anywhere close enough to being quick enough to get these cars stuck to the ground. So that's the reason why we're seeing these machines rotate so easily. Max Deforny charging his way up the order in the blue and white car. He virtually alongside there Dorian Boccolacci into turn number 1. Couldn't quite make that overtake work though. And
he's going to have another go into turn 3 here. Just didn't make that. That spin then means that our third place man, the Marcus Armstrong car of the RS GP Art Junior team, is pretty much on his own in third position. Fastest lap last time around by the 17th position, Frankie Bird, who's come up from the back of the grid. And here's that side-by-side action again. That's a very brave manoeuvre there.
He's done it though. Max Deforny ahead of Dorian Boccolacci now, and this is crucial for the second place in the championship, remember. Little bit of weaving up towards Parabolica interior. This climbing, left-hand arcing corner, and obviously you head over the rise there and then down into the right-hander of Arela corner. But if Max Deforny can score more points than Dorian Boccolacci in this race, then he claws a little bit of ground back that he lost in Spa a month ago.
Can you imagine how quick it was when you just went straight on round here and missed this bit out?
Yes.
And rejoined just to the left of our picture about there. So you were all the way up that hill in a constant radius corner. That must have been fantastic.
Bruno Baptista caught in a traffic jam here of SMP racing cars, and Baptista in the black and red machine needed to get a better exit out of the chicane than he actually managed. But the SMP racing car just immediately ahead of him, of Robert Schwartzman, was somewhat tardy, exiting Gancho corner. More overlapping taking place here, and this is Peroni overtaking Bruno Baptista, is it not?
Yeah, Peroni in the green car down to our left here. Driver's right coming into the first corner. He'll do well to hold on there. And oh dear, one of the SMP racing cars, that's the number 5. Vartanyan has gone off. He's got the marshals alongside him. And for the moment at least, the number 48 of Peroni has dropped back a position and now is having to battle himself. Lando Norris at the head of the field, clear track ahead of him, making good use of that as the battles continue with Harrison Scott in that bright red car. It's amazing, isn't it? You think someone's got position on you, and then you get down the inside, you make a mistake, and all of a sudden 2 or 3 cars lengths. And from battling to hold his position, Peroni now looking very much focused forward. Different lines there through turn 6, the Parabolica interior. And look at that, he's right back on the tail of the guy who was battling 2 minutes ago in the number 6, Bruno Baptista.
Yeah, Baptista, and then it's Alexander James Peroni with Harrison Scott right behind in the 22. The safety car's back out on track though. Now
that's going to be for Vartanyan.
Yes, yeah, you're quite right. Alexander Vartanyan, who started from 5th position in the 5 Fortec Motorsport car, so carrying the SMP Racing colours, the Russian, but run by Richard Dutton at Fortec. And there is the safety car right in the middle of the track, ready to welcome the leading driver. So the AVF of Adrian Vyas.
Touch of wheels here.
Was there to cause that incident? Oh, and that was Gabriel Aubrey in the
that was the later
car,
around the track, wasn't it?
Yes. Cars all over the place here.
Kinds of carnage there. That was the 11 car going around. That was Fenestras. We saw that early on. He's just dropping positions. There's the leaders, and almost Palmer throwing it at the scenery there. Will Palmer, though, getting back that RSGP car and pointing it in the right direction.
That will have grabbed the attention,
yes,
certainly. The younger Palmer brother, and Frankie Bird with a sideways moment as well at Curve 1. So there is the stranded car of Vartanyan, and it's awaiting some kind of recovery vehicle. The driver is out and perfectly okay, I'm sure. Just
is that up by turn 9?
Yes, it's in that vicinity. Actually, there is a recovery vehicle there.
yeah,
in fact,
good.
there it is.
Nissan Navara about to pull him out of the, now that black and red and white truck in the distance there that you could see.
That's where we're sat, isn't it? That's where we're sitting, rather. And
sat sitting here.
Sat sitting, indeed we are. So yes, that was it the left-hand kink before Gancho proper?
I think that might
the chicane. So just beyond Orella corner, and there
Lovely
is a
track
view.
here.
It's brilliant. It really embraces this kind of rocky area, which is naturally undulating, and why not have a track that suits that location? Built in 1972 and a former host of the Portuguese Grand Prix, of course.
I do like tracks that reflect the topography of the local area, and this, you do get the feeling that this has been carved out of the local scenery.
Yeah.
And it is a bit of an uphill down deal. Built in the days before everything was cookie cutter similar, and you could flip one circuit on top of the other and see which corners are the same. Some very, very impressive bits of driving required here, and a nice mix of the long, fast, sweeping corners and the slightly more technical, nudgy bits. Not sure about that uphill chicane,
no.
if I'm honest. I remember when it was put in, and understand why, particularly for Formula One, that had to happen. But it does break the rhythm up just a little bit. And ironically, doesn't really give another overtaking manoeuvre, because it's so difficult to get close enough, particularly in a Formula car, coming through 7 and 8, to get into an overtaking manoeuvre to try and have a dive bomb up the inside.
Last Portuguese Grand Prix here a mere 20 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Jacques Villeneuve taking the win from Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher.
Controversially, of course, wasn't it?
Go on.
Wasn't that the year that Schumacher lost his position in the championship for trying to pull over on Villeneuve? Was that the year? 9?
You might be right. It doesn't say that on my notes, but you know, you were taking far more attention to Grand Prix racing 20 years ago than potentially. No, mind you, mid-90s, I was well into it.
Schwartzman and Chavs under investigation in the safety car phase. You're going to have to look that up now, aren't you?
I will do.
Oops, and we've managed to get the cable run stuck underneath the plank of the car we're trying to recover there. Vartanyan.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a cable run there, isn't there, with the ramp over the top of it and the under tray. Quite complicated on these Eurocup Formula Renault cars. The airflow underneath the car, as important as it is over the top.
Very much.
And that was my concern about James Allen's incident. He may well have been able to carry on in the race, but how would the car behave after skirting across and also being jumped up in the air to a couple of feet as it clattered the grass on the outside of turn 2. So that car will go back to JD Motorsport for a quick once over. They may need to replace some of those crucial aero bits underneath the car. Safety car to be in this lap though. We still have over 10 minutes to go on the clock, plus the extra lap. And for the second time of asking, Lando Norris needs to make a good restart. Will Palmer and Lando Norris very nearly overlapping, and now Norris decides to put the pedal to the metal, and he comes out of Ayrton Senna Parabolica with a lead of about 3 car lengths over Will Palmer. So the green flag is waved there, as you can see. Good run from Max Deforny, who's got up to 4th position. He's trying to get ahead of Marcus Armstrong here as they make the run down towards Curva 1, and everybody else in the line as well, including Dorian Boccolacci and Hugo de Sadaleer. Don't discount him for a podium, also in the Tech 1 colours. They're all tripping over each other though into Curva 1, and they're going to get safely through there, through the little left-hand kink at 2, and now into Curva 2 proper. Oh, and off onto the grass there goes Marcus Armstrong. Good save there from the young Kiwi.
But look at how many positions he's dropped.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Quite right, but I suppose that's better than losing the car entirely and being collected by somebody. So have we had a change in position as far as the Tech 1 cars are concerned? No. Still Hugo de Sadaleer behind Dorian Boccolacci. It's Max Deforny running in 3rd, Boccolacci 4th and Hugo de Sadaleer 5th. Trying the grass and plenty of water with it is Henrik Chavs rather. And Chavs knows this place very well, being Portuguese. I don't think you want to explore the grass though, at the right-hand kink there, Henrik, somehow. More side-by-side action there through the Parabolica interior, and Lando Norris using this second restart as a real chance to get away.
That was a nice dive down the inside. It was 1997, the Schumacher and Villeneuve incident. It was meant to be here, but of course it was moved to Jerez that year.
There we go.
So I knew Estoril featured somewhere, just wasn't here. So you can stop writing those postcards now.
It was on the calendar for 97 apparently.
Correct.
and then cancelled at the last moment.
Exactly right.
8 minutes and 55 seconds plus a lap to go for Lando Norris to take another victory in this championship winning season. Will Palmer is second. Oh, and a car way off in the background there.
It's not the line he's looking for.
Robert Schwartzman possibly, or Alexei Kornev. Oh, I didn't quite catch the number there as the car clattered its way through the gravel. Schwartzman came through actually, so who's dropping down the order? It is Kornev. Alexei Kornev off at the Parabolica Ayrton Senna. More place changing there as Harrison Scott gets an overlap and then immediately loses the position to Peroni. So chopping and changing at turns 1 and 2. Peroni now again with the advantage in the green, white and yellow car. There's Habsburg battling with Bruno Baptista, and who's that on his inside? Another one of the AVF cars, which could well have been a recovering Shabs. Through shot, that car goes now, and Harrison Scott just a bit further up the road. Lando Norris leading then at the start of this lap by 1.1 seconds, by the way, from Will Palmer and Max Deforney. And can Max start to reel in Will Palmer for second position? More chopping and changing further back. That's a recovering Sasha Fenestraz in the number 11 car. Big lock up there from Bruno Baptista into the Parabolica interior.
The 62 in there, you're right, is His Highness Archduke Ferdinand Zvonimir of Austria. Ferdinand Habsburg to you and I.
Down the hill towards Gancho they go, and a big chop and change in direction there, and Bruno Baptista, oh, there's contact. And that's a real shame.
There's wing gone there as well.
That was potentially, that's Henrik Schaafs, by the way, front left end plate gone and a part of the wing proper as well, and otherwise that was going to be a great move from Bruno Baptista.
I didn't say how difficult it was to do that there. You've got to come very late, and it requires a degree of assistance, or at least not too much of defence from the person you're overtaking.
Deforney on Palmer as we have yellow flags towards the end of the lap, but this doesn't affect this battle, and Deforney gets second place then from Will Palmer. Shaped that up on the main straight, which is very nearly 1 kilometre long, and then dialing up the inside in the blue and white car, Max Deforney up to second position. And this again is important for the championship, trying to outscore Dorian Boccolacci for second place behind Lando Norris.
Trotsky right in behind the 47 of Marcus Armstrong, that wild card driver who has been as high as third position. Trotsky having a wee look at him there.
Ferdinand Habsburg battling with Sasha Fenestraz. Fenestraz a little bit wide there through turn 3, but he gathered it up again. Exit out of 4 is not too bad towards the kink, and they're heading for the first Parabolica now. So this is a battle for 9th place, as Harrison Scott has slowly worked his way up the order. Marcus Armstrong here scrapping away with Nikita Troitsky, and we've got Jahan Daruvala right behind in the black and grey car. This is Frankie Bird, I should say. Frankie Bird off track and hopefully recovering it. Oh, didn't quite see, but I'm sure he did get it back onto track. Here's Lando Norris then, 5 minutes and 3/4 to go plus a lap. And Lando Norris,
Frankie didn't get it back on the track.
He's still out there.
He was out there, but he's on, I think he's on the return road, and he may be far enough off the circuit to not be in harm's way. This is the 45 and 16, the 45 being Ghislain Cordeel, and the 16 battling away is Julian Falchero.
Yeah, and he's had his fair share of incident. This is side-by-side action. Hugo de Sadelier at the inside of the number 3 car. That's Robert Schwartzman, so that'll be for 6th position.
Tell you what, there's enough grip now for them to start locking wheels in the braking area for turn 1. How quickly that could change.
And down here at turn 3, speaking of which, that was so close for Schwartzman, who got to within inches of the gearbox there of Hugo de Sadelier. This is the battle for 5th and 6th on track, and we have a closing Alexander James Peroni. Who's that off track though? That's Boccolacci, is it, in the number 9 car? Yes, it is. From fourth position, Boccolacci losing places again. So once more, the pendulum, as far as the second place in the championship's concerned, well and truly swinging towards Max de Forny. He's got up to second position. Bear in mind, de Forny started way down in 11th, running second, and Boccolacci can't buy a clean run to the flag. Another off-track moment there, and we'll tell you in a moment where he's fallen to. Will Palmer still third.
Fenestraz again on the 62 of Habsburg. Fenestraz will be kicking himself because he was right up in the top 6, and now he's down in 9th and 10th position. He's looking for 9th, and at the moment the issue that they've got is they're holding each other up. Habsburg goes wide. Is there a chance to square off the corner? No, I don't think that there is, but it is allowing behind them Habsburg in the 62, the silver and blue car, then the red and black is Fenestraz. Behind then it's Baptista who's closing on them.
Meanwhile, it's on for the race lead, I'd say, because we have a new fastest lap for Max de Forny from 11th place. He's got himself up to second, and not happy with that, trying to chase down Lando Norris. Also gap coming down between Hugo de Sadalier and Robert Schwartzman. That's now for 4th place because of Boccolacci's incident, and Boccolacci is now running 7th, by the way, with company, because he's got Harrison Scott and Sacha Fenestraz right behind. There's the gap between the 1st and 2nd place cars. Lando Norris to Max de Forny, down to 0.6 of a second, John.
Yeah, and de Forny's got target acquired now. He can see the leader ahead of him. Now, you know, early on in the season, Norris had a championship to win. Looks in his left mirror. He can see there's someone coming. He'll have clocked the car. It's a very distinctive bright light blue machine. But now he's got the championship won. He will not want to give up this victory.
Yes, good point. But Max de Forny wants the points ahead of Dorian Boccolacci. Remember, it's
Fenestraz has gone through.
Ah, yes.
He's gone through into 9th position, and now it's Habsburg and Baptista battling for the final position in the top 10. Here's the leaders through the hook.
So the uphill chicane. Remember, Boccolacci, 2nd place coming to this race, 176 points. De Forny 163.5 because of that washed out race at Monaco earlier on in the year. And Harrison Scott on 158 points, kind of an outside bet for 2nd position. But Max de Forny could have a really good run here on Lando Norris at the start of this 1 kilometre straight. They're heading downhill towards curve 1. Surely he's got him here. Lando Norris cannot defend from the young Belgian. They're side by side. De Forny will be just ahead as they reach the breaking point, but Lando Norris goes super deep into the corner, deliberately to defend there from the 33.
And the number 3 car, Schwartzman, overtaking during the safety car. So that is a 25-second penalty. And also for the 21 as well.
Henrik Schavs lock up there for Max de Forny as they approach this tight left-hander. And this is a replay of Julien Falquero. No, it's not. The car ahead of him going off, who is the silver car. That's the wildcard entered machine, isn't it? Number 45.
45 of Ghislain Cordeil,
yeah.
The Belgian driver. The lead, though, is being disputed now by de Forny and Lando Norris. Now, this is very interesting because Norris, well, I wouldn't say he's had everything his own way this year, but he's had a pretty good season, hasn't he?
It was these two that put on such a great show at Red Bull Ring, though, earlier on in the year, chopping and changing places when the championship was still up for grabs. Lando Norris has outperformed Max de Forny, I think it's fair to say, over the last 4 races, but Max wants a little bit back now from Lando Norris in these final few races. He's trying to get 2nd place in the championship, and a win, a full 25 points, would certainly take him towards that. No extra points to worry about, by the way, for pole positions or for fastest laps in this championship. It's all on the race results. Half a minute to go. They're going to squeeze 1 more lap out of this, and then the extra lap at the end of it. So 2 more to go, I reckon, as they cross the line now. Gap at the start of this lap was 0.37 of a second. It's 0.37 of a second. We've extended it very slightly by 6 thousandths, but here is Max de Forny's chance.
No, he's not close enough.
Not quite close enough.
No, and interestingly there, Lando Norris did not feel the need to go defensively down the inside onto the start straight. It's been a very, very good drive from de Forny, whose car, that RS GP car, remember all the cars are the same here, set them up slightly differently, maybe different tyre pressures, suspension settings, and remember how many changes were going on by teams on the grid right up to the 3-minute board coming out, as Habsburg still having a cracking scrap down the field with Bautista. This is for 10th position. And behind them, the 47 car coming back is Marcus Armstrong, the Kiwi driver. These two haven't given it up yet. Big sideways from Bautista, but His Highness is holding on to 10th position at the moment. My point was, for second position though, that that car had a real purple patch in the middle of the race, didn't it? Carved its way through to the second position.
Yeah, this time through the first sector, Deforney lost a little bit of time, so the gap's out to half a second now. They're at the chicane. Not anymore. No, he was quicker through sector 2, to be fair. Max Deforney found an extra 10th on Lando Norris, having lost 3 at the previous sector point.
Oh, slide by the leader coming into the final corner, the centre parabolica now. He's going to have to defend now because he hasn't got the run onto the straight, Johnny. So this is going to be interesting. Look at Lando Norris, looks in his left mirror, then he's right. Now, bide your time, Deforney. Which way are you going to go? Goes to the pit wall, almost goes into the pit wall. 2 wheels off the circuit there. Really last of the late braking stuff. That was too close, and inevitably they've hit. Inevitably, you could see that coming, couldn't you? Neither of them wanted to give that up. And Lando Norris' season is over, as is Deforney's. And through then, from third position, thank you very much, Mr. Palmer.
So he stays out of it, and doesn't that pay off in the end? Well, I'm not so sure about what Lando Norris edging his opponent into the pit wall, which is not great to see, and then under braking. For me, that's Deforney's corner. Oh, I don't know. Around the outside, there possibly was room, but that blue car was fully alongside. Lando Norris saying, "What are you doing, man? We were battling for the lead there, and you've ruined both of our races." But I thought that Max Deforney was fully alongside, but it's difficult to tell from that camera shot because it is a head-on shot.
I don't like to see people moving across on the main straight. We've got a situation here like we had at Fuji in the WEC, where the track limits is actually not the pit wall. There's a white line there, and how far did Lando Norris feel he needed to push Deforney across? He knew he was in trouble as soon as he lost the car halfway through.
His error at Parabolica Ayrton Senna. So you then have to take the rap for, okay, I didn't get the best exit. It's now a drag race down to turn 1 as we're on the final lap for Will Palmer, who has inherited this win, but he will take it with open arms. Let's call him home, because this is a great result for Will Palmer. Across the line he comes then for the penultimate race of the year. This is his first win of the 2016 season. Congratulations to Will Palmer. I don't think his father Jonathan will be here this weekend. He'll be in Austin, Texas for the Grand Prix at COTA, but nevertheless I'm sure he'll be tuned to us, hopefully, and enjoying this race with Will Palmer crossing the line out front, and in the end a very decent victory, 6.1 seconds ahead of Hugo de Sadalier. It's an unlikely top 3 really, with Robert Schwartzman coming home in third position.
Well, no, he won't be, because he's got a 25-second penalty, of course.
That's a great point, thank you.
So Peroni will come through and stand on the podium.
So Alexander James Peroni, as a wildcard entered machine, started 14th and comes home in third. That's not a bad day's effort, is it?
No, good run for the Aussie. And for Will Palmer, the Brit. Yes, one more race. Sorry, I was ending the two protagonist season a race too early.
So yes, Alex Peroni, this is his first race of the year, and it's a third position. Meanwhile, plenty of drivers, sadly, relegated to mere spectators in that affair, and there is the Lando Norris car limping home after the clash at the first corner.
Did he finish then? Did
it looks like he...
Yes, he has. He's in the pit lane, 16th position.
Okay, so...
May not have crossed the checkered flag in the pit lane, depending on where he parked it up. Don't suppose he'll care too much about that. Championship's in the bag. But would have liked a perfect weekend, 2 poles and a win. Couple of wins this year, but Will Palmer bringing it home tidily. Didn't have the pace in the middle of the race there, and the RSGP Art Junior team. His teammates dealt with him pretty quickly and got on the back of the leader. But then Deforney rather blotting. Well, was it Max or was it Lando?
From that shot, it was very difficult to tell, and if we'd had another camera position, then I might have been able to put another slant on it, but it's very tricky to tell. And of course, the clerk of the course will have many other camera angles at their disposal.
No.
That's the Habsburg car off the track, isn't it?
That was the battle for 10th.
Okay, so which way did 10th place go in the end? Johan de Ruvela snatching
What happened
10th
to
position.
Baptista then?
Baptista finished 7th. Now because the adjustment's just been done by Alcamael and the timing system company, so that takes into account the time penalties for overtaking under yellow flags. And
oh yes, and the two guys falling out, so that battle became the battle for 7th and 8th position. And Habsburg going off in the final throes of that race. So Baptista inherits the 7th position for Bruno.
And it was Baptista fighting with His Highness Habsburg,
Correct.
wasn't it? So we lost
for what was
Ferdinand,
then 10th position.
We lost Ferdinand Habsburg, but Baptista carried on. Let's hope he wasn't involved in anything suspicious. Therefore, we're going to get a replay.
Again.
To me, those two cars are side by side. So Deforney turns in, really his corner, I think. But Lando Norris sweeps around the outside. Now, was Lando going to go off the track there, across the white line, and therefore...
No, I think he was pinching back down towards the apex.
Yeah,
but
okay.
the bit I was more interested in was what was going on the start-finish line when there was some fairly leery defence by Norris. Now, he's a young lad, but he's a young lad with a future.
Yep.
And I don't like to see people starting their careers with that kind of attitude towards their fellow competitors. He was struggling because he made his mistake. Yes, of course he can defend, but at the point where he's got someone alongside him, I think you've got to stop moving to the right.
15 laps done in the end for Will Palmer, and a first victory of the year for the RHGP pilot. Hugo de Sardelia coming really to the fore towards the end of the year. A second place for him in Tech 1 Racing. Alexander James Peroni, Alex Peroni to give him his more reasonable name. TS Corsa are the crew that run that car, number 48, and the first venture into the championship bags him a podium from the off. Dorian Boccolacci doesn't lose places, in fact, and points to Max Deforney in the end. He scores better than the Belgian, so that might more secure the second place in the championship. Robert Schwartzman, tricky run to the end for him from third, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was that 25 seconds that really, really cost him.
Max Deforney did get the fastest lap, but as I say, you don't get a point for that, so it's really academic. And that's Hugo de Sardelia quickly being congratulated by the Tech 1 team and his family as well. Who else is down there? There is Will Palmer. Very, very happy indeed with his first victory of the year. Came as a little bit of a surprise, but you have to be in it to win it. And he was there in third position. Showed early pace, but as you say, the car tended to drop away a little bit.
Pierre Fillon there, the president of the ACO, just standing down there by Parc Fermé. Watching the weekend.
There is Ferdinand Habsburg with the helmet and hands device with the 62 car. So we are going to hear now from Julien Biot, our reporter down in the pit lane, with no doubt our race winner. A little bit of a surprise race winner, Will Palmer.
Well, a crazy finish to race one here in Estoril to claim your maiden Eurocup win. How does it feel?
Yeah, it feels amazing. It's been a really good day. Qualified second this morning, and actually it's very similar conditions to the race, slicks and the damp. And yeah, Marais Spare didn't quite have the pace of the top two, but was feeling strong in third, and then yeah, it kicked off on my last out. Shame for my teammate Max, but it's great to take my first win in Formula Renault.
Did you see what happened between Lando Norris and your teammate Max Deforney at the first corner?
Not well enough to be able to comment on it really, because it's a bumpy braking zone and I'm more focused on doing my own thing.
Well, we'll let you enjoy the podium then. Thank you, Will.
Just
Sensibly staying out of it.
Yes, but slightly too much of a smile there when he said, such a shame for my teammate, except not.
As I carry on to take the win. So this was the start of the race, and this was a sign of things to come, really. It was a busy run into turn one, and it remained a very busy race. From 6th to 3rd there, Marcus Armstrong. Up in the air, James Allen. Almost forgotten about that incident. They brought the first safety car out to recover the young Aussie's car, and a real shame for James Allen, starting from 4th position on the grid, but the race lasted no longer than a couple of corners. Spin there for Dorian Boccolacci, no, Fenestraz that was. Yeah, trying to recover positions, and Fenestraz in the end coming home in 6th place, which when you consider that included the spin, was a good effort. That was a slow moment for the number 5 car of Vartanian, here for his first race in Eurocup Formula Renault 2 litre. Off track for Marcus Armstrong. That's what lost him a hatful of places as the Tech 1 cars went side by side. Julien Falquera going through safely, but sadly not for the 45 car of Ghislain Cordial, who did manage to rejoin, bringing a load of gravel onto the track in the same. Now that's the mistake that Lando Norris has to hold his hands up to, I think, and realise it's then a drag race down that 1 kilometre straight, and Max Deforney, for me, had the line for turn number 1. Anyway, that will be decided no doubt in the stewards' room. They're both out of the race, so they can't really make it better for either driver. The man to benefit, Will Palmer, with his first victory of the year, and a great one for Hugo de Sadalier as well, who came here 6th in the championship, took his first victory last time out at Spa, and another podium result. So a fantastic end to the year for the young Swiss, and he will have improved his position of 6th in the championship, I'm sure, off the back of that. But Dorian Boccolacci looked very unlikely he was going to outscore Max Stefani in that race until the final lap and that first corner clash. So in fact, Boccolacci will extend his lead in 2nd place in the championship. Lando Norris, we know, had it all sewn up before making the trip to Estoril, but nevertheless some work to do for Josef Kaufmann Racing to turn that car around overnight and get it set for tomorrow's 25-minute race plus a lap.
Tall lad, that Swiss, isn't he?
Yes, absolutely. Hugo de Sadalier, of a similar height to Ben Barker, perhaps.
Got a future as a GT driver, I would say.
Maybe so, yes. Often difficult for heady heights of certain drivers to get their seat fitting right in a single-seater, but there's a little bit more room, you could say, in the cockpit of a GT car. Will Palmer still receiving congratulations from various people behind the podium, and it will be the overall podium to be done first then. So first of all, Alex Peroni to the 3rd step of the podium. Thumbs up from the young TS Corsa run car driver. There is Hugo de Sadalier to the far side of the podium, but it's first win for the 2016 season for Will Palmer in the Eurocup Formula Renault 2 litre. We'll hear the national anthem of the winning driver after the presentations. Now this is one of the team members from RHGP as well to go to the far side of the podium. Here's the national anthem.
And now the national anthem of the winning driver.
Slightly extended mix of
I think
the
it was.
national anthem there. 3 different teams, 3 different nationalities as well. Aussie, Swiss and a Brit. Truly international look to this penultimate round of the Formula Renault Sport 2 litre Eurocup, which is really done good work for young drivers in the last, decade or so that we've had this formula. A little bit more than that now. A couple of changes of machinery, but not much more than that. It's been good for the teams and for the drivers.
But, you know, former winners of this championship, Felipe Massa, Augusto Farfus, Scott Speed, Kamui Kobayashi, Philippe Albuquerque, Brendan Hartley. You know, the list goes on. Kevin Courjus, who we'll see in the Renault Sport Trophy. Later on in the weekend, Valtteri Bottas, Robin Freins, Stoffel van Dorn, who's the next big thing, as we know. Jack Aitken as well, who continues his charge up the single-seater ladder. So this is a real hotbed for new, fresh, young talent coming into the single-seater world and potentially the sports car world as well. Very smart BRM trophies being handed out to the 3 drivers and the RHGP mechanic as well. Great to see one of the team members always welcomed to the podium. And that is the podium for round 12 of the Eurocup Formula Renault 2 litre. They will all gather together on the top step, and hopefully in a moment or two they'll get some bottles of champagne to spray as well. And with a race, their second race of the weekend, not coming until tomorrow, they might choose to get the overalls a little bit damp. Yes, I think they will, as the champagne sprays at the end of round 12 of the Eurocup Formula Renault. And congratulations to Will Palmer with his first victory of the year. Will he make it 2 from 2 tomorrow? As we look back on some of the highlights ahead of the start of the race, there was quite a bit of doubt as to what tyres were best to start these cars on. Adjustments to damper settings late on as well. before we finally got underway, and the fireworks started really from the off down at curve 2 with James Allen heading off. There he goes into the gravel trap. We thought he'd been assisted, but actually replay showed he went there all on his own. Gabriel Aubry caught up in the carnage as well. A spin for Sacha Fenestraz, very nearly being collected. There was the eventual second place man, Hugo de Sadelier. That was the sideways moment for Gisland Cordial from a different angle. And then the top two got involved with each other. Bits of carbon fibre flying around. The long hair there of Max de Forney left to be a mere spectator, and Will Palmer comes through to take the victory. From John Hiner, for Johnny Palmer, it's goodbye for now.